Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy Monday. Happy almost Purim. My name is Shannon Sarna. I'm editor of the Nashar. So excited to welcome you all here. We haven't had a class in a minute, so it's very exciting to be back here. And I'm so excited to introduce one of our favorite contributors. They're all my favorites. You can't pick a favorite. It's like a kid. Um, an instructor.
Yes, you can.
I can't. Oh, I can't. Okay, fine. You're my favorite. Vered is a chef, a food writer, a historian. She lives in DC. And I would say probably my favorite fact about Vered is that she has cooked for President Obama's Passover Seder at the White House, which is just, I mean, the coolest. She has written for Haaretz, Washington Post, Slate, NPR. I could go on. But as usual, Vered's teaching and knowledge and amazing food speaks for itself. So Vered's gonna be showing 3 recipes. We always leave the chat open for questions. I will share as many questions I can with Vered as possible, both during her presentation and then after there'll be time for questions. If you can please keep replacement questions to a minimum. We're here to enjoy and learn from Vered's expertise, and all of the replacement questions sometimes can get in the way of that amazing experience. So without further ado, Vered, thank you so much for once again sharing with our community. I will shut up and take it away.
We'll see how long you can last without talking, Shannon. I doubt it will be that long. Hi, everyone. So nice to see you. We're gonna cook today dishes for Purim from around the Jewish diaspora and show the wonderful Jewish sense of humor, because so many of these dishes have symbolic meanings that all end up in one thing. How do we kill and revenge in Haman, the evil? And we're going to start with one of my favorite ingredients, poppy seed. We all know and eat poppy seed, Hamantaschen poppy seed, of course. But in Israel, and unfortunately I don't see it here so much, Purim is the holiday of cooking with a lot of poppy seeds. So more than just the Hamantaschen filling, which is never from a can, of course. We can talk about that, even though we're not talking about Hamantaschen. We can talk about the filling today. Never from a can, because it's bitter and it's horrible. You need to make it your own. But look at this. This is like about a cup and a quarter of poppy seeds that they all gonna go to one cake. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about cooking with poppy seeds. And we're gonna grind them in a second. We have to grind poppy seed when we cook them in the type of Eastern European baking, the way that we're gonna do. But for the cake that we're making, I'm gonna start with whipping the eggs because it takes a few minutes. While I'm doing that, I'm gonna also grind the poppy seed and talk about why poppy seeds are symbolic foods for Purim. So my husband is behind the camera here, and that's why the camera moves so elegantly from side to side. And here I'm making the cake itself. So I'm breaking 4 eggs into the stand mixer. And I'm going to start whipping it, and I'm going to add the sugar slowly and then let it whip for about 10 minutes until it's really quadruple in volume, very light and fluffy. You're going to see it at the end. So let's start. We want to share this. Okay, let's move here. Shannon, can you hear me well, or the noise of the mixer is too much?
No, it was almost like muted for 1 second, but now I can hear you. Somebody just asked how much sugar. I did share the recipe a few times in the chat, but maybe just want to share how much sugar.
I don't remember how much sugar. I'm sorry. I will have to look because I measured it before, and
Yeah, it's
so
I'm looking it up now. It is one and a
maybe a
quarter
cup
cup
and a
sugar.
quarter.
Yep,
Yes.
look at that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the poppy seeds, usually the way most, let's say, American recipes. I'm sorry. When you have, let's say, a lemon cake with poppy seeds, you use a couple of tablespoons poppy seeds, and you just mix them into the butter, and it's wonderful. I love it. But in this case, we're gonna grind the poppy seeds. The texture is gonna be much creamier, and and some people noticed on Facebook when the measure posted the recipe, there's hardly any flour in this cake because the poppy seed, it has a lot of fat in it, but it really replaces the flour as well. And the crucial step is to grind them. Now I'm using a blender, a very strong blender, but any regular blender will work. And actually a food processor will work too. And what works really well is also a coffee grinder, like those electric coffee grinders. You're gonna have to do it in a few times because they usually will not fit that much. So that's fine. Oh, people, you can't hear because I'm muted?
No, Verid, it is muffled from the mixer. So maybe,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
It's
sorry.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, I wasn't because we're a
Yeah,
few
no,
feet
of
away. I
course.
wasn't sure.
That's much
So
better.
okay, so we have to grind it. And did you hear about the different ways of grinding? Like you can do it in a Vitamix or a strong blender. You can do it even in a food processor, and you can do it uh, in a coffee grinder, in coffee bean grinder. But you know, you're gonna have to do it in small portions each time. And what we're gonna see is that the dark grayish seeds are gonna become dark black, and the volume is going to go up. That's what you're looking for. If it gets stuck on the sides, we're going to stop the blender, mix it, and continue to grind. So here we go. This is really going to make a lot of noise, but you can share it. We're actually done here. I don't know how much you could see. Um, this is very dark now. It smells wonderful. Um,
And does it look like a
um,
paste?
No, it's not a paste. It's just almost like sand. It's very, very thin, very thinly grind. Um, and you can feel that it's a little bit oily, unlike the whole seeds. And that's how, that's what you want to get. And this is like after this step, you can cook them with milk and sugar to make the poppy seed filling for Hamantaschen, and you can make this cake and many other things. So let's continue.
Jared, we did have one question about poppy seeds. How can you tell
Yes,
if they're fresh, or on the other hand, is there a way to tell if they go bad?
yes, and that's a very good question, because they do go bad. They get rancid, and you will just tell by smelling it, and you will smell that it's a smell that you don't like. It doesn't smell good. I had a box. Okay, so when you buy poppy seed, and especially when you need to buy such quantities, it's best to go to either Eastern European Russian, mostly in the US, we have Russian and sometimes Polish supermarkets, and also many Persian supermarkets. They have poppy seeds in large quantities, and also specialty spice. Indian stores also have them. So, and in these stores, they use it a lot. So you're likely to get fresh poppy seeds. If there's a way for you to smell it in the store, do it. If it's good and you're buying it, if you're not using the poppy seeds immediately, keep them in the freezer. I used today poppy seeds that I bought last year for Purim, and they were in the freezer for the whole time. On the other hand, I had one box that I opened and it smelled so bad I had to throw the whole thing away. So just trust your nose, because it's very clear when it's not good. If you grind the poppy seeds and you didn't use anything, you can still, it's better to mix it with a little bit of sugar and still freeze it. But because they go rancid, definitely if you grind them, they'll go rancid so quickly. The freezer is your answer. Okay, so we're going to continue whipping the eggs, and I'm gonna go somewhere and I'm not near the mixer, so I can talk about the connection between poppy seeds and Purim. So, okay, the eggs. There we go. Where should I go? Okay, I'm going here. Oh, you don't wanna see me? Come here. Okay, let's go here. I'm sorry. Is this okay? Can you hear me here?
Yeah, this is better, Vered. Yes, thank you.
Okay. It's just because the eggs do need to whip, and I did want to say the first connection between poppy seeds and Purim. First of all, there's the part of Megillat Esther. It says that Esther in the palace she could not eat kosher food, so she only ate vegan diet. She ate seeds, which usually translated at this time to legume, to chickpeas and fava beans. But actually, in Persia, for thousands of years, they've been cultivating poppy seeds. So maybe she did eat poppy seeds as well. That's one thing. The Jews love to adopt symbolic meanings to different food that they like to eat anyway. The other thing was Mantash is the German name for. Okay, you cannot hear. Let's move even further away. Mantash is the original name of Hamantaschen, and Man in German is poppy seed or poppy seeds, but it sounds like Haman. So the Jews adopted it and made it Hamantaschen. Just adopted the name of the original pastry that was filled with poppy seeds and made it appropriate for Purim. There are many different funny symbolic foods for Purim. We're going to talk about it more later. But I'm sure some of you know that Hamantaschen in Israel, they call it Haman's ears, Oznei Haman. And there's a reason for that too, but I'm going to talk about it later. So I'm going to be quiet and we're going to move back to the mixer. Okay, so the eggs are ready now. Can you show the eggs here? You see how whipped they are. They look amazing. The volume is really at least 4 times from what we started with. It's very pale. That's what I wanted to see.
So you want to see the volume increase, and you want to see
Yeah,
pale color. Is there anything else to
yeah.
know that it's done? It's
Look,
ready.
it's very, very thick. So it's not like meringue that when you whip just just the egg whites, but it's very, very thick, and that's what you want. I mean, the recipe calls for 10 minutes. Usually it's early, it's done even earlier. For sure, if you whip it for 10 minutes, it's gonna be ready. What I'm doing here is I'm mixing, I have only 2 ounces of flour, and I'm mixing a teaspoon of baking powder into it. Okay. Okay. And we're going to add this to the mixer. Lower the speed so the flour doesn't fly all over me. There we go. And now I'm gonna add butter. I'm not gonna say how much. It's a cake, and it is indeed a very rich cake. So when you slice it, when you eat from it, you really need a very thin slice. I think a cake like that should be enough for, about 20 slices or so. Okay, we have even more butter.
Varid, what would you suggest
Yes,
if people want to make this cake without dairy? What fat substitute would you suggest?
just oil, like a mild flavor oil.
Okay, so like a
Uh,
safflower oil, a vegetable oil, a canola oil.
yeah, corn oil, coconut oil. Coconut oil, actually, I would say would be the best
Okay, great.
because it hardens like butter. It hardens when you at room temperature, so that's what you want. But any oil will be fine. Okay, I'm adding now some applesauce and all these poppy seeds. I'm gonna see how the butter is gonna become so dark, black, and beautiful. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the next for a second. And we're done. Okay.
I see someone is commenting about some amazing vegan butters, and I just say I totally agree.
Uh-huh.
Mykonos vegan butter is so good. The one from Trader Joe's
Right,
is also so good. Love both those.
right. I really, yeah, that's, and whatever you know and you love, it will work. I mean, there's no question here. Um, I do find that, I mean, I love baking. When I do vegan baking, I love using coconut oil. So I think that's a good option. So now I'm brushing the pan, a spring foam pan with butter. And I'm gonna sprinkle some flour on it and try to shake it so it goes all over. I'm gonna do it. I have a trash can here. I'm gonna do it above the trash can and just slowly try to have the flour all over the sides, like that. And discard the extras, so it's all covered now. Here, and we're gonna put the cake butter here.
Vered,
Any,
will a regular
yes,
round pan also work? It'll just be harder to cut.
yes, for sure. Okay, this is the cake, and we're gonna put it in the oven. And a timer for 45 minutes. And that's
Wow,
it for the cake,
baking is so easy when someone else does it.
right? No, but
It's
this
like,
is
wow,
easy.
that's so
It's not,
fast.
yeah, we're not exactly done. We're not completely done. Let me just show you one more thing. Come here. It's too early for the step that I'm doing now, but I do like to cover the cake with a chocolate ganache. So I have bain marie here. So there's boiling water underneath here, and I'm gonna add some cream. You can use, vegan cream instead, and bittersweet chocolate, and just a pinch of salt. And we're gonna let it melt. When the cake is ready, you take it outside and you let it cool down completely. After it's really cools to room temperature completely, you should make the chocolate ganache, the step that I'm doing now. You can also do it, just heat the cream in the microwave and pour it over the chocolate. That's also fine. Whatever is easier for you, and pour it over the cake. Put the cake in the fridge. I like to keep it in the fridge. I like the flavor better when it's a bit cold, but do take out the cake about half an hour before you serve it. It doesn't need to be really cold. It really needs to be at room temperature. I just like it a little cold. So I'm just melting the chocolate here, and it's actually already done. As you can see, that's all I wanted to get, and I'm going to use it later. That's it. We're done here. Let's move. Let's move here.
While you're transitioning, I just want
Yes,
to reiterate for everybody, yes, the recipes will be available forever. They live on www.thenasher.com. You'll get an email in the next day or two with the recipes as well. And also make sure to check out Vered's site, veredgutman.com. She has so many amazing looking recipes. So there are so many ways you'll be able to access these recipes. And I've also put the cake in the chat, and I'll put the next recipe in the chat as well.
perfect. Okay, so the recipe we're going to do next is a Moroccan recipe. No, it's actually it's made in Morocco as well, but this version is actually a Turkish Greek version of, some call them just sweet nuts cigars of phyllo dough, and for Purim the Greeks like to call them Haman's fingers. As I said, Purim recipes have a lot of sense of humor. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a mixed nut filling, and to that, and the filling we're gonna wrap in phyllo dough and bake it in the oven, and it's delicious. So let's move here again. Move this side. To start the whole process, I'm gonna make a very simple sugar syrup that I'm gonna add to the mixed nuts, and also gonna brush it over the cigars later. So we have sugar here and water and a little bit of lemon juice. without the seeds. Okay, that's it. We're gonna bring it to boil and let it cook for 5 minutes, just to reduce a little bit. I'm sorry, just a second. And then we're ready. You need it to be at room temperature or like warm, but not boiling hot when you use it. So I actually made the syrup earlier today. That's the syrup, and we're going to use some of it, again, some of it with the nuts, and some of it we're just going to use to brush the cigars. So with the food processor, I'm putting almonds, walnuts, and we're going to blend them and crush them. Noise alert. Okay, you want to be careful not to, do you want to show this? Okay. I can, okay, this is fine actually. You don't want it, you want it to be fine, but not too fine, and definitely not a paste. You need to be careful not to make it into a paste. So I have here 12 fluid ounces of the syrup. I only need 8 for this. Okay, what's going on? I only need 8 for this, so I'm gonna use, which is 1 cup, so I'm gonna use this. Yeah. A bit more. The rest is for brushing. And I'm gonna add a couple of eggs.
Someone shared,
Yes.
I always add just a pinch of sugar when grinding nuts in the food processor. It keeps it from turning to paste.
You in this case, you just, if you make sure to just do it briefly, there's no reason for it to become a paste.
Okay.
Just do it briefly, stay next to the food processor. If you're worried, you can also just pulse the food processor. It should be fine. It takes a bit longer for nuts to become paste, so
And was the
there's no
bottle you just
worries.
held up, was that rose water?
Yes, that's rose water. It's optional, but it's nice, and it's very traditional to these types of recipes. So, and I just grated some orange zest, and I'm gonna mix again. Okay, a little more. Okay, and I think we're done. Oh, okay. Yes, I'm gonna pour this here. It'll be easier to work. Okay. Okay, and now the phyllo dough. Now, phyllo dough you usually buy it when it's frozen. You need to let it thaw in the fridge overnight, and then before you start working, just a second, I need the brush. Before you start working, you need to let it out of the fridge about 2 hours before you start using it, and it will come to room temperature, and it will be pliable and easy to work with. Now, these are not very large. They're actually a very good size for what I need. They're about 15 by 7. So I'm just gonna cut them in half. This is more than I need, but that's okay. And very important, we have to cover them with towel. You have to keep phyllo dough covered the whole time because it gets dry very, very quickly. Some people actually also spray they spray the towel with some water. I'm not going to do it now, but but it is something to think about, especially if you have a long process of folding the phyllo dough. Okay, so let's start. This is how you do it. You take one sheet, cover the phyllo down, and you brush it with milk all the way up. And now we're gonna put a little bit of the filling here. Okay, and first you fold the sides in. Okay, and now you start rolling up away from you. Just fold it all the way up, and we're done. And it's right here on the baking sheet. Okay, let's do another one.
Wow, that's kind of so much easier than I thought. I mean,
yeah, no, it's very easy. It's like kids game. I mean,
not to not to diminish your skills in any way, but I think if I didn't watch you do this, I would feel much more intimidated. Phyllo dough, I think, feels a little intimidating sometimes.
No, it's really easy. It really is important to to defrost it the right way, as I mentioned earlier. But if you do, they're so easy to use. Now, usually the cigars are actually deep fried. But the truth is, I don't really like deep fried sweets, which are very popular in the Middle East. And although I'm Iraqi, and Iraqi Jews also have many fried desserts, I just don't like it so much. And of course, you want to save some of these calories. We have enough butter here to feel good. So it's easy to do it this way. Okay, I'm just going to do one more.
There was a couple questions. Yeah. Do you have a phyllo dough brand that you would recommend, and about how many do these make?
So
last question, which I actually is a great question. Could you use an air fryer to do this as well?
It doesn't need such high temperature. So, I mean, we're just gonna bake it in a 400 degrees oven, and this is just fine. So there's no need for air fryer, and I wouldn't know exactly how much to recommend for you to, what temperature to use or for how long. So I assume it's possible, but I will not know the details. But if anybody wants to experiment and maybe get more of the authentic fried, feeling of the cigars, then why not? I would spray them with oil before I use air fryer.
If anybody
Okay.
tries it in an air fryer and wants to update us, send me an
Yes,
email
please. Yeah,
and let us know, and we can always add that into the recipe online so others will know. So always love for
definitely.
those kinds of notes. And my email is hello@thenashra.com. I'm posting the recipe again because somebody asked for it. So here is the recipe again.
Okay, and now we're gonna brush it with a little bit of butter and a little bit of the syrup. Remember that we had some extra syrup. So the syrup is kind of thick right now. I would reheat it. You know, if it's not easy to use, you can reheat it in the microwave at this point and just use it again. And this now goes for 12 to 14 minutes to a 400 degree oven. And we're gonna have Haman's fingers to nosh on and to take our revenge. I mentioned earlier that yes, you can take that. That Purim has so many dishes that symbolize Haman's organs and how we're going to take our revenge with him. So Oznei Haman, Hamantaschen, or Haman's ears are some of them. And we have the fingers, we have, oops, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Haman's fleas, it's also a dish from Greece, a dish of, like it's a candy of sesame seeds, and it's like, it looks like fleas, and they call it Haman's fleas. Just a second, Matoki, can you please put a 12-minute timer on your phone? Thank you. So we have that. There's the Italian orecchie di Haman's ears. Some people in Europe, some Jews in Europe would make like a gingerbread man that would be Haman, and they would eat his head off. There's Haman in jail, which is the challah, Moroccan challah that we're gonna make later. It also symbolizes a man's eyes that you take out and eat. It's all very funny, but I learned lately that it's actually built on a Christian tradition of eating someone's ears symbolically as a revenge. There's like in Eastern Europe, Poland, in the area, they used to make these pelmeni, piroshki type of dumplings that they called Judah's ears, and served them for Easter, which is interesting because Easter is also more or less the time of Purim, right? So the challah that we are just going to make is also actually an Easter bread that's adopted by Jews for Purim. Where did I leave my glasses? Okay, sorry. I'm becoming my father, and it's really sad. So, Judah's ears, the dumplings from Poland, they symbolize some kind of revenge for Judas who betrayed Jesus, according to their belief. A beautiful tradition. So the Jews adopted it and made it their own by taking their revenge on Haman. Okay, and now we're into our third recipe. As I mentioned, this challah that comes from the Moroccan Sephardi tradition. Moroccan Jews have a few communities, some of them Sephardi, some of them Mizrahi, like local um, Moroccan Jews, who actually some of them live in the mountains and a separate community. The dish is a challah. Actually, I can show you because I made one in advance. This is the challah with two hard-boiled eggs in the center. They symbolize either Haman in jail, because these look like the what? Bars, yes, bars, or these are his ears, eyes, sorry, and you just rip them off and eat his eye. But you can see that it very much looks like Easter bread from Italy and other places. So we're going to make the dough now, and yeah, let's start working. Let me just peek in here. Everything is good. Okay, so we're making a challah dough. This challah, it's called the Ojos de Amam in Ladino, the Judaic Spanish language. Okay, I'm gonna put the flour in here. And the mess here. And I have instant dry yeast. Now, this is the type of yeast that I prefer to use. This is what most pastry chefs use. Unfortunately, what you can usually get at the supermarket are the active dry yeast. And then you need to proof first, to put it first in warm water with some sugar and let it proof. It's no big deal, and you have the instructions on how to use it in the recipe. But the instant dry yeast, first of all, they're more reliable. Many times, like what you buy in the supermarket is like 20% dead, so you need more. So I buy the SAF instant dry yeast online, and you can keep it in the fridge forever. And that's how I do it. I really recommend that if you bake a lot. So I added those yeast to the flour. I'll just mix it a little bit. And let's add some sugar. Oh, can you please? Sorry, the milk is cold. Can you please reheat the milk? Okay. There's an actual person here that I'm talking to, not just. Okay.
We just wish he would speak up.
I know, or just come in the front and say hi, because people don't believe that I'm actually married. And if you can believe it, he's actually a TV journalist, so he is on camera every day. Okay, so we're starting to mix this, and I'm waiting for the milk. Here, let's see. It's just the right temperature. Gonna add milk here. I should have added the eggs first, but never mind. And now we're gonna let it mix for about 2 minutes. Now, when you make dough, like yeast dough, you wanna mix it slow. I'm using on this mixer, the KitchenAid, and speed number 2. So you can scrape the sides to make sure all the flour goes in. Okay, okay, okay. There's a good chance that your mixer is doing it better than mine. Mine doesn't touch the hook, doesn't touch the bottom, unfortunately. Okay, when I don't want you to just wait here. So I'm using butter here because it's tastier and you actually do feel the difference, but you can definitely make it hard by using oil. So we're just gonna add the butter. The butter is soft. I'm gonna use it, add it one by one. Let it mix. Um, okay. Just for a second. Yeah, that's good. When it looks like the dough, at this point I can add the salt. I'm gonna grate some lemon zest into the dough and let the mixer knead for about 8 minutes. Um,
Vered, can you explain
yes,
why you wait to add salt when you're using making a dough with yeast in it?
yes. The yeast needs the sugar needs to grow. Oh, we're here. Okay, just a second. I do need the pen underneath the pink one. Yes. Um, if you add the salt too early, it may not the the yeast and the dough may not rise as well because we need to give the yeast a couple of minutes without fat. That's why we add the fat later, and without salt to get an option to get the process of rising going. Um, this is as professional as I get. I never learned this, so this is what is considered to be the right thing. It works well, so let's stick with it. Can I have the spatula again? Thank you. So I don't know if you can hear me so well. And in any case, can you show the dough for a second? There's no need for us to wait for the 8 minutes, but I just show you. It's basically like a challah dough. Just the same, I'm gonna finish kneading it later. After you do knead it for 8 minutes, you're gonna spray a bowl with Pam and pour this, transfer the dough into the bowl, cover it with plastic, put it in a warm place in your kitchen, like maybe in above the oven. By the way, Matoki, Nathan, my husband, didn't the thing was supposed to 10 seconds. I'm so good at that. Okay, so you transfer the dough, you cover it, you let it rise for about an hour and a half. You have all the instructions um, in the packet, and I'm gonna carefully take out these fingers Okay. Do we have, okay, let me put it here. So some of them dripped, but not too terrible. You see, they're very crispy, and this recipe is really good. I'm sorry that I'm saying it, but it's really very, very tasty. And you saw how easy it is. Maybe the first couple of fingers will not come out as well, or maybe it will not be that easy. But it's not more complicated than what you saw here. It's very easy to do, and maybe this will encourage you to use phyllo dough more often.
There was a couple questions
Yes,
about the consistency of the dough for this challah. When it is
yeah.
done mixing, it will be a little sticky still?
It will be a little sticky, but not too much. It's not a
Okay.
very runny dough. It's actually kind of a firm dough.
Okay.
This is a dough that I made earlier and let it rise. I mean, you don't know how it was before, but it's nice. It rose nicely. And what I'm gonna do now, I can flip it, and I'm gonna add quite a lot of fennel seeds. Fennel seeds are very common in baking in North Africa. Like, they have these wonderful cookies that many Moroccan Jews make. It's just so delicious. And of course, you see it also in Italian baking. Fennel seeds. So we just mix it a little bit. And now we have a couple of options, either to do two. I mean, this dough is enough for two of these breads that I had here. Again, if you can show it. Or you can also make small individual rolls. So maybe let's do one and one. So, okay, gonna cut it in half. Okay. And one and two. And from this half, I'm gonna leave a little bit outside. This is for the strips to close the hard-boiled eggs. Now, I have hard-boiled eggs here that I cooked in advance. They have their shell on, and this is what you use on top of the challah. Do not peel them. You use them with the shell. I know it's a little weird. When you take the challah out and you eat it, you really take out the egg from it. You peel it. It's more for decoration. You can eat it, of course, with the bread. This is how it goes. So for the first one, let's put this here. I need the brush also. You don't need to wash it. Okay, we're gonna make it into a kind of a flat circle like this. It's gonna rise a lot, so that's fine. Let's say we want to put 2 eggs in it. By the way, you can also use the whole recipe of dough, like the full quantity, and make a really large one. I'm making 2 wells for the eggs. Like this, you can put just 1, you can put 3. I don't think more than that will
Vered, we have one
fit in this
question
one.
about the
Yes,
hard-boiled eggs. If the eggs are
yes,
already hard-boiled,
right,
and then you're gonna bake them in the challah,
right.
do they get rubbery or overcooked by baking twice?
They're actually fine. They're fine, but you're not making it for the. It may not be the best taste of eggs. It's more like a decoration thing, like in the Italian tradition for Easter, for example, they paint the eggs and put them so it adds a lot of color to the thing. So it's gonna be tasty, but that's not the main part of this dish anyway.
So, if you're worried about the cost of eggs, then, make something else.
Yeah, they actually, well, first, no, you can eat them. They're going to be fine. They're going to be nice. They're going to be okay. But,
Oh, Donna, you had the same thought I did, which is just you make egg salad. It'll be perfect.
exactly. So remember the little part of dough that I saved? I made a little snake of it, and I'm going to make this design here on top of the eggs and push it really into the bread itself, because otherwise it separates, which is no big deal either, but still. Okay, let's roll a little more to a very thin snake. Okay, and again, stretch it on top of the egg. Okay. And the traditional way of designing this weird looking bread is to do these slits here, and it makes it like a shape of, I don't know, to me it looks like the sun. I don't know why it's done this way, but that's the traditional way to do it. Like that. Now, okay, so this is like one large bread that's enough for a few people. We can also do from the second half, we can, cut it to, let's say, 3 and make 3 individual rolls. Oh, a lot of fennel seeds here. Let's use another one. You want to fold it like that, but make it into a ball. Like that. Again, I'm using my thumb to make a well here where I can push the egg. Just like that. And again, we can make the long strip. So you can make 6 rolls like this, or make 2 of the larger breads, or even 1 really large bread. Just like that. Now, usually I let it rise for about 45 minutes, and only then I brush it and decorate it. But in this case, I'm going to do it now so you can see. So we're brushing the challah, the bread, with egg. It's egg yolk mixed with a little bit of water. So it will give it a nice color. And we're still gonna let it rise after this. Okay, and a little bit on the little one is so cute. Just like that.
So as Verid's egg washing, if there's other questions to not related to where Verid lives, let me know. I can pass them along to her. So someone said they really love your countertops, Verid. I agree, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, I want to replace them, but thank you. Okay, this is Demerara sugar. You can use any coarse sugar on top. Okay, just like that. And then again, the traditional way is to sprinkle some sliced almonds on top. And We're gonna let it rise for about 45 minutes and bake it like the roll, the little one just needs like 20 minutes or so. The large one needs 30 to 35 minutes. It depends on, depends on your oven, depends on the thickness of the bread. So if you bake challah, then when you just need to see when it's ready, when it feels as if it's completely baked inside. Can you show this, please? And again, like the finished results is this one. This comes from this. It's the same size, so it really grows in the oven. I'm gonna cover it now and let it rise for 45 minutes, and then I'm gonna bake it. And actually our cake is about to be ready, but I don't take it out yet. So does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I'm going to start sending questions over to you. First of all, somebody asked if there will be a recording of this. So just once again, we will send out an email with the recording. It will also be on our YouTube channel, and the recipes are available on our website as well as on Vered's website. Oh, sorry. So Judy had asked this before, and I think we glossed over it. What brand of phyllo dough would you recommend?
Oh, I actually don't have a brand that I really like. And the truth is, I don't even use phyllo dough that often after talking so much about it. For many recipes like the borek, Turkish style pastries and that, they actually use at home a type of phyllo dough that's called yufka. And you can get yufka. You can actually get it online, but mainly you can get it at the Middle Eastern supermarkets. They're thicker than phyllo dough, so they don't have the papery quality that some dishes with phyllo dough have. So I use yufka very often for pastries, but I don't use phyllo so much. But for this one, it's really good. For for apple strudel, it's really good. But that's basically it. So yeah, any brand is fine.
Someone else, this is not related to the class tonight, but I think it's a great question that actually I saw in another Facebook group. People had asked about poppy seed Hamantaschen and doing a homemade filling. So I just shared your recipe in the chat, but could you just talk
Thanks.
through a little bit how you would, like, what's your process for making homemade poppy seed filling?
Look at that. I'm gonna bring it here. Okay, I just so happened that I made some poppy seed filling today because I was working with poppy seeds anyway. This is what it is. I can just eat it like that. It's the most delicious thing ever. You see the paste. It smells so good. It's amazing. So what you do is you start with grinding the poppy seeds the same way I showed you tonight. So you know that it's easy and can be done. In Israel, you can buy, especially around Purim, supermarkets will grind it for you, and it's fresh and it's good and it's much easier, of course. But you can grind it at home. That's not an issue. And then you cook it with milk and sugar, and you can add some vanilla extract. You can add lemon or orange zest. Usually people add either ground cookies or almonds just to make it a little thicker. But you'll see that as you start cooking it, you just need to cook it for about 5 minutes. You bring it to boil and you cook it for 5 minutes, and you're going to see that it gets very thick. It's going to be almost like porridge. And as it cools down, now it's cold, and look how thick it is. You can add, I add a little butter, and you can add some raisins, yes. which is very traditional in Eastern Europe with these poppy seed fillings. And that's it. You can keep this in the fridge for a while, and you can do, you can fill strudels with it, and you can fill, of course, Hamantaschen. It's so wonderful. I mean, really, it's one of my all-time favorite ingredients. And just to add one thing, in Europe, people, poppy seeds come from poppies, and they make opium from the same ingredient, basically. And poppy seeds used to be contaminated. It's not so much so anymore. Let's check the poppy seed cake, actually. I have some, what do you call it, toothpicks. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, looks nice. No, it needs a couple more minutes. Yes. Okay. So people in Europe used to actually soak poppy seeds in milk and give it to their babies to make them sleep better at night.
Wow.
And actually until the 90s or something, in Italy, for example, they issued a warning for parents to stop doing that, but that was relatively, really recently. And I want to just tell the story here of my father-in-law, Tzvi Gutman, who passed away last month. He was 90 years old, so he had a long, beautiful life. For most part, he was a Holocaust survivor. He grew up in Hungary, and at one point in his childhood, his family was staying at a work camp in Vienna, and they could leave every day to go to work and go back there to the camp. And one day he came back from work. He was about 12 years old, and he was so hungry, and he saw a field of poppies, and he just stopped there and started eating them. And of course, he fell asleep immediately, didn't hear anything. He woke up and he saw that the whole area was bombed by the Allies. And he didn't even hear it, and he had to somehow find his way back by himself to the camp to his worried mother. But yes, it used to be a very powerful ingredient. It's not contaminated anymore. The FDA is watching it much more carefully these days. So not to worry still, if you'll eat that much poppy seeds, you do not want to do a drug test the day after.
That's such an incredible story, Vered. It's like both like really interesting and also kind of hysterical. But yeah, his poor mother must have just been beside herself. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, there was a couple of other questions. I know we're sort of running out of time. I'm always so impressed with how much you can pack in within an hour. Someone asked about with the ojos de Haman, if you could just use your regular challah recipe and add add the fennel seeds to that and use the same process to make that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason why not. Yeah.
Someone else wants to know, would you recommend any substitutions like almond flour for any of these recipes to be keto friendly? And my understanding of keto recipes is that they're also low sugar. So maybe I'm mistaken, but
No, you're right. Keto are low sugar. I mean, very low carb, so extremely low carb. So that's going to be hard, although there are some substitutions for sugar. I forgot what it's called, like monk something.
oh, monk, I think it's monk sugar. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
wait, I think I have one.
My monk fruit. Oh, monk fruit. So I mean,
Yes,
look,
yeah.
my recommendation always with a special diet, whether it's gluten-free, vegan, keto, whatever, is that like you really want to go to someone who's a specific writer, recipe developer for those diets if you want something that you know is going to work. You can always try, but there's no guarantee with someone who's developing recipes for, a normal diet. So, you know, the challah recipe is not going to work, but I have seen keto challah recipes, and we have a couple of roundups of keto friendly recipes as well. That's my
Uh-huh.
own 2 cents.
Yeah. The one thing I would say is that if you're gluten free, if that's your worry, then the poppy seed cake has very little flour, so you can definitely use like gluten free flour instead, because it doesn't have a lot anyway, so it will not change the flavor of the cake. So you can definitely do that. Um, yeah, the two other recipes are more are not as easy.
They're gluten full. Wow, those look awesome.
Thank you. I hope
Um,
you will all try these recipes at home and share it with us. Oh, the coat. Wait, I'm still not letting you go. Yes, it looks ready. Ah, okay, this is the cake. It's very tasty, even without the chocolate, by the way. So you don't have to use the chocolate ganache on top. The flavor of the poppy seed is rich but gentle at the same time. So it's actually very tasty without the chocolate. But I always do it with. I always say you don't have to, but I always do it with. So that's our cake. I wish I could cut it for you now because it's so beautiful and so dark inside. It's amazing. But I hope you'll make it a fun.
for everybody who's starting to say goodbye, thank you so much for such an amazing class to Vered. You'll get a recording, you'll get the recipes. And if you make the recipes, please send us an email, send Vered an email, share them on social media. We love to see them. Vered, you are amazing.
You too.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
we'll be embarking upon a very special project with Vered. We can't say what it is yet, but stay tuned and there'll be news. And stay tuned for some Passover classes coming up next month. Wishing you guys a very happy, joyous Purim, and please send us anything that you make.
Thank you.
Bye, Vered. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. Happy